It's October 12th, 2022, about 1:45 in the afternoon, and we're out for probably the next to the last sail of the 2022 season. We just got sails up and started sailing east. Wind is south today, so I think this is going to be mostly an east-west sail out of the Great Harbor and over toward the Cranberries once we get past the mooring field and the boats in it. And as you see way up there on the bow, straight ahead, a dock, several others, and definitely thinning out in the harbor now, particularly the upper harbor. It's pretty empty, and a lot of empty moorings here in the middle of October. Haul out day is the 20th, next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, and then we will be out of the water and the 2022 boating season will be ended. Looking over toward the Coast Guard station at the end of Clark Point here in Southwest Harbor, and back up into the harbor on the north side of the harbor. It's pretty light air today. I think the forecast is for 5 to 8. And right now we're on a beam reach. So I got to sail through the boats in the outer mooring field, which are boats on Hinckley Company moorings that are just here to be hauled out. Now, we're just starting to head between Sutton Island here and the Cranberry Islands off to starboard as we're heading east. It's light air. We've hit 4.8, I think, maybe a little more. And now we're doing about 3.5. The boat is pitching a little bit right now because we're hitting a lobster boat wake. There are quite a few lobster boats driving around out here. There's Northeast Harbor over there, and I can see maybe 7 sailboats in Northeast Harbor. It's pretty empty. Things are definitely thinning out. There's the hills of Mount Desert Island off to the north. And this is, as I said at the beginning, maybe our next to the last day out. It may be our last day out. It looks like our next day out, if the weather forecast is right, will be Sunday, and we'll probably be taking the sails down Sunday because it's supposed to rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, and haul out is scheduled for Thursday morning. So Thursday morning looks like a good day to haul out so far, but we'll have to wait and see. But the last thing I want to do is take down wet sails because then I have to drag them home, wait till we have a nice day, and go spread them out outside to dry, and hopefully they won't have been in the bag for very long, because if they have been in the bag for more than a day or two, they'll get mildewed, and that's a real pain. So, a nice light air sail today, and not too many other boats out. There were a couple boats out south of us heading out the western way. Okay, we just sailed east of Sutton Island. We're looking back past Sutton Island on the right there toward the Manset shore of Southwest Harbor. 2 sailboats back there, a friendship sloop, and a little more distant, the schooner Ambergris, both out with loads of tourists. And here's the east end of Sutton. The one other sailboat that's out here, and over there to the north, the hilly part of Mount Desert Island and Seal Harbor. And that little white pylon over there is on East Bunker Ledge. And the Schoodic Peninsula in the distance with a fog bank, which I don't know if you can see it. It's just a gray band just above the water in the distance. And here's the north side of Little Cranberry Island today. It's a very pleasant day out here. Light air, so it's not exactly boisterous sailing. We're going 2.8 knots right now as we head east. Look back at Great Cranberry Island. Well, the wind has picked up a little as we're heading east. We're up to 4.2 knots. And we're headed for one aspect of living on the coast of Maine that's quite interesting, and that is you're never far from a bank here. Matter of fact, it's the most ubiquitous bank on the Maine coast. It's present in every town on the Maine coast, no matter how small or isolated. That's the Maine Fog Bank. Now we've gotten far enough east that we can see Baker Island past the tip of Little Cranberry there. And again, the fog bank is definitely out there just past Baker. It's pretty indistinct, may not show up on the camera. And it's pretty hazy over towards Schoodic. But there's a good view of Mount Desert Island from here. And we're going to turn around in just a few minutes and head back. And we'll be spending the night on the boat tonight in the most exotic of places, the Great Harbor Marina in Southwest Harbor, Maine. Okay, we're just about to tack around, a little over 5 miles out from the marina. That's the southeast tip of Little Cranberry, and we're just waiting till we can see the life-saving station over there for the last time for 2022. Then we'll tack around and head back in. And there's Baker Island. And Nova Scotia straight ahead in the distance, 100 miles away, and the Schoodic Peninsula. And another view of Mount Desert Island from offshore. There it is, the Little Cranberry Island Life-Saving Station. That's at the southeast tip of Little Cranberry Island. It's no longer a life-saving station. Now it's a private home that is rented out by the week in the summer. And I think that would be a great place to be in a big storm. Really be quite cool to be out there. So we're going to tack around and head back. We're headed in now toward the gap between Little Cranberry on the left and Sutton Island, which you can just see under the sail. And one of our last good views of Mount Desert Island from offshore. Well, here we come, passing the last little point before we are back in the Great Harbor officially. This is the north shore of Little Cranberry Island. And these rocks are the last point before we head into the Great Harbor. And you can see Southwest Harbor straight ahead, about 3.5 miles. And over there you can see the hills of Mount Desert Island, and the two smaller hills are the Bubbles at the north end of Jordan Pond. Well, we're in between Sutton Island and there's Little Cranberry and Great Cranberry. We're making 2.3 knots, and I wouldn't exactly call this heavy weather sailing, although some of these 1.5 to 4 centimeter waves for you metric types might be a bit of a challenge. And we've got just about 3 miles to go to Southwest Harbor. So given the time, if the wind doesn't pick up, and it usually doesn't this time of day, we're due for arrival over there about 5:30, which is probably a little later than we want to get there, so we may put up the iron Genoa. Well, we're blazing along towards Southwest Harbor at 1.6 to 1.7 knots. Got a little over 2 nautical miles to go, so at this speed we're still an hour and 20 minutes out, just like we were about half an hour ago. So we're not making what I would call great time. And this time of day, the wind does tend to drop off as we get closer to sunset. So I expect that the wind will actually drop off to nothing pretty soon. Oh, anybody interested in cormorants? There's a bunch of them headed south. Do not stop in Southwest Harbor, guys. That's a lot of them. Big V of cormorants.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, we just decided to set the iron Genoa as our boat speed was 1.5 or less. We're going the right way, but there's a big flat patch ahead, and we're still bucking a foul tide. So it was going to be slow, and it's almost 4:30, so we'd like to get back in by not much after 5, so that we can cook dinner before it gets dark. So I don't know, we may unroll the jib again if the wind picks up, but I kind of doubt it. I think we're done sailing for October 12, 2022. Well, we're almost back into Southwest Harbor. Still a couple of boats out sailing, but not many. And just coming to the mooring field here. Sails are down. The only thing I have to do is put the sail cover on the mizzen, and we're put to bed. So we'll be on the dock in about 10-12 minutes. We're heading into the harbor at a bit over 5 knots, 5.3 right now. And it looks like the wind drops off a bit right up here. Well, we're on our final approach to the Great Harbor Marina here in Southwest Harbor, Maine. Tide is down a bit. We've got about 2 hours to go before low, maybe a little bit more. It's not a super low tide tonight, but we'll have plenty of water going into the slip now. And we should be tied up in about 4 or 5 minutes. And as you can see, it's not real windy in here. Pretty flat. Just a very light south wind, which is what we like for coming into the marina. So I hope you enjoyed what may be our last sail of 2022 here on October 12th. Next few days are going to be rainy and unpleasant, so depending on what it looks like next weekend, this may be it for this year. So thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed the trip. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't, why don't you consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching.